Hello and welcome. My name is Eric, and today we'll be talking over the time lapse of Everything Lost. 12 hours, 37 minutes, 37 seconds. Time making assets. What the fuck? 21 hours. Sounds about right. Now, this one took a lot of time making assets. Yeah, I did some calculations. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Let's just jump into this. Whenever I'm not recording while making assets, I never am. Now, what I do is I look at the time, I write it down on a sticky pad on my desk, and then I look at the time when I finish making all the assets, and I write on the end time, and then just so I can calculate how long it took me. Still not exact sometimes, because sometimes I forget to write down the end time, but since I know that, I'm pretty fair guesstimation. But like I said, that's why it has a little squiggly in front of it every time, because it's not exact. If it was exact, it wouldn't have the squiggle. Pretty sure that's what that little symbol actually means when you put it like that in front of things. It's like kind of like a roughly guesstimate-ish, give or minus, plus or take type thing. Anyway, so with this map, of course, I wanted it to be underground, but I also wanted it to have like a street level. Because initially there wasn't like any kind of like, elevation or anything. So I did get inspired though by a subscriber who told me that his players who use my maps, they really like the elevations in some of the maps. So I wanted to give them a street level to kind of play off of. I even doubled down on that. I even gave them also like I guess a second level to the third level down, just to kind of have more stuff to play with. Because initially this map was just flat on the table, and this is like when it was made, probably roughly like a year or two ago, and it was just like lines in the table with some chairs. This is pretty much the only thing I really used, was just like chairs, tables, and lines. But yeah, I think all it was just like I just put the text on the table and I just put stairs to basement, and that was it. And the whole place was, one, it was pulled out of my ass really quickly, because I really wasn't sure we were ever going to get to it. So I was like, well, I don't want to spend too much time invested in building this. This is before like DieCat even existed. So, now I have a reason to, at least if I do spend time on something, making it, I can at least release it to the public and people can enjoy it. Even if I don't ever end up using it for a campaign or anything for that matter, at least other people can use it and find different ways to enjoy it. That's why it was so shit initially when I just drew it to the lines, because I never got to use it. And that's why it was so small and really under-detailed. I think all it had was just a very, very tiny little gambling hall. Like it was basically like the back room of like, have you ever seen the movie Rush Hour? I don't know if it's Rush Hour 1 or 2, might be both. Where the back of that Chinese restaurant, there's a bunch of dudes gambling. Kind of like that. That's how big it was. I don't even think it. No, I wasn't putting a bathroom in at the time, so I didn't even have a bathroom or anything like that. It was very, very simple, very, very bare bones. But this time around, I went above and beyond and again, I had no plans while I was making it. This is all just kind of on the fly, so I just knew that I wanted initially, to do ground level, second, and then third, and kind of go from there. I think one of the things I did know that I wanted though, for sure, was that I was like, ooh, I'm going to make craps tables and poker tables and all that stuff. Because I figured if I'm going to do that, I might as well make it to where it's also available to, like if I make a Shadowrun casino, then, I don't have to do double the work. I don't have to make like a medieval poker table and then a cyberpunk poker table, That is more exemplified in the design of the slot machines. If you look at the slot machines in this map, they're clearly made for Shadowrun, because one, I'm not going to make a fucking medieval slot machine, even though like it's pretty plausible, considering the technology that I think even like standard D&D is kind of set in. We'll get to that in a minute, but like I want to talk more about that. But anyway, yeah. And two, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to make Ugh, I got confused. What I was saying, my numbers. Anyway, I jump all over the place, so I always fucking forget what I'm going to say sometimes. Ugh. So anyway, see, normally my stairs, right, are kind of like just walls from the ground all the way to the top. And I couldn't do that with these because if I did that, you would be maneuvering characters in a stairwell, basically like trying to move characters down like the fucking barrel of a gun. It's like so it would be extremely difficult to do that. Your characters would be flying around all over the place, constantly trying to jump up to the wall, which is like fucking 50 feet above it. I figured the best idea is just like put the mini walls chunks as the stairs go down. I think it works great. So also it gives a clear line of sight on the staircase. You don't have to like get to the only angle you can to really see down the staircase. You can kind of see it more from at least 3 sides, way easier now. So that's a huge thing. This one for sure, I was like, oh, okay. So the idea behind this second level right here going down is basically I was like, you know what? These guys are like casino people. They're probably also like drug dealers and shit too. So, excuse me. So I decided to make them like have like a little offset side over here next to like their bunk room, which is essentially just where they make drugs. And yeah, right here I'm getting way more comfortable making it so where people can like walk under staircases. This time around I tested around like a lot of different methods on how to avoid characters jumping up if you do ride them too close to the wall. Because most of the time, after like I figure it out in the proper space to give the players on where like they can and can't walk too far under something, it's usually not a problem when you're moving them around. However, there is like one instance where I think it's behind the stands of the fighting arena in this map. I tested it. You can actually walk your character underneath it. It's like both sides under the stands where you can start to begin to walk underneath them and go around the sides. You can do a number of things to avoid your character from wanting to jump up. You know, if your camera angle is too up, I guess, at a high angle, he'll want to jump. But like even just normally though, it does work straight up. But if you do find yourself having trouble with anything regarding to like your character wanting to just fly on top of something, you can always hold right click first and then hold left click when you're selecting your character. And that'll immediately keep him grounded when you pick him up. If that makes sense. When you attempt to pick him up. And then you can just walk him under anything pretty much. And that solved the problem going forward as far as that goes. So I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. There's a lot of stuff this game doesn't tell you. A lot. But if you Google it, there are some advanced controls, I think made by the people who made this game out there, which is what I looked up. And I've been trying to use them, slowly add them into my memory as I use the thing. Attempting to write them down on sticky pads when I can. I only have one so far that I think it like really is like groundbreaking to me. Did you know that while using this game, you can press Control O to directly open the objects, your little chest thing under the saved objects? I didn't know that. 2,000 fucking hours, 2,600 something hours in this game, and I didn't know that until 5 days ago. So that would save me a lot of time having to go up to the top of the screen, click objects, and then click, you know, all that shit. So yeah, definitely look up more shortcuts for anything you use. It's it's awesome. So I'm really excited to use that more. Super excited because I figured that out after I finished making this map, sadly. So I can't wait to get to test that out. Oh, since I figured they're criminals, of course they're gonna have a torture room next to the office bosses, the boss's office, because you need a torture room. Come on, I learned that from Casino with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Good movie, good movie. Very long movie, but good. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. It's just called Casino. It's amazing. Anyway, we might as well talk about it. There's a scene in that movie where these two guys are cheating at, like, I don't know, one of the games in the casino floor, and they take him to the back room and they hold one guy down and they have a power saw, and they're like, okay, you either leave with the money or you can leave without a hand. Something like that. They threatened to either cut off his hand or like never come back in. I forgot, and I can't think of it because this fucking watching this screen is also mesmerizing as shit. So it's also not making it easy to concentrate. Anyway, they gave him an ultimatum: either like never come back and leave without money, or you can leave with the money, but we're taking your hand. There, I think that's what it is. But that was pretty fucking cool. I figured, I gotta have a place for that in here if someone is caught cheating. These guys don't fuck around. Oh, right. So the slot machines thing, right? Okay, so here's something about me. I don't ever, for one, I've never used Wizards of the Coast official modules ever. Again, I think that's because I had a really poor experience with them early on in my D&D experience or role-playing experience. Majority of the beginning was pretty much just Dungeons & Dragons. I didn't even know there were other games that existed until like fucking 5 years later. But anyway. Yeah, so I just didn't enjoy it. But I think it was also just like soured by the people who were running it, you know what I mean? But even still, after I looked into them a little bit, like much, much later on. Even still, I just personally wasn't interested in using modules. I'd rather just create everything myself. Because I just get way too much enjoyment out of it, like making an entire campaign from scratch rather than borrowing like that kind of shit from the modules and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, the modules are amazing, completely amazing, but not for me. Although I only read like Strahd and a little bit of like the Frost Dragon one. Mainly because I didn't get too deep into them because I also eventually wanted to run them someday, but in my style. So I'll look through Strahd, but I'm probably going to remix it a lot. And I know that's like totally viable, whatever, but because everything in D&D is a guide, right? Nothing is set in stone. I know that, but it's a pretty heavy guide if you wanted to use it, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to definitely put it through my style and see how it ends up turning out, because I want to do that for like Halloween. I wanted to run a Curse of Strahd. I guess it'd probably take a while, especially like at the pace we usually play, so start it on Halloween and finish it whenever the fuck, I guess. Maybe one day, because this main campaign on the channel is not necessarily going to be like long, unless for some reason we just decide to make it long, we extend it or whatever. We'll see when it comes to that point. But whenever it does end, I do want to like do Strahd. That's kind of because I'd start and stop that one like 2 or 3 times in real life. Because it never took off and it always fell apart because the GM was bad or the players were bad or it was both or it was just not interesting. Yeah, anything like that. And again, that probably falls on the GM, I guess. They didn't feel like they really gave a shit. It was like very dispassionate GMing. It was like literally just living off of the book and hardwalling every decision based on the book and what they interpreted, which is like they didn't put too much thought into like anything regarding, how that makes the players feel on their decision. They chose to basically just, no, it says this has to happen type shit. It's like, fuck off, dude. All right, this is not why I play role-playing games, like, for this type of bullshit. If I want to do that, I'll just go play a fucking video game where it's hard-coded and shit, man. Fuck off. I know GM's, like, word is word of law, but it was clearly not coming from his mouth. It was coming from his poor interpretation of the rule, of, like, what it said in the book. And eventually we all read the book after we all left. Like, we all looked at the PDF and we're like, yeah, that guy's a fucking idiot. That was completely not even close to what it could have been, like, misinterpreted as. Anyway. But yeah, jumping back to the other topic I left behind like fucking forever ago. If I can remember it, god damn. I don't know. It's something to do with this campaign or that campaign. I don't. Oh no. Okay, so this is probably not what I was going to talk about. But whatever. We'll just jump to something else. So recently, I was looking through. I obtained a copy of Strixhaven, the new module that came out for D&D. It's like basically, I don't know, Harry Potter, but without Harry, I guess. You know, you go to Mage College or Magic College and do Magic College shit. Spend 4 years there, all that stuff. That's a new floor texture, by the way, for the bathroom. There's a lot of new textures I added in for this map, too. They're actually all aligned around the table. If I ever, like, zoom out, you can see all the new textures I have spread out. So I can kind of just get an eagle-eye view of all my new shit I want to just throw in when I can. I don't think I use everything, but I use the vast majority of all this new textures. But anywho, so Strixhaven, right? I don't know anything about Magic the Gathering. I think that's what it's kind of based off of whatsoever. I think in college someone made me a deck because all my friends played it and they wanted to get me into it. And I chose green because it was my favorite color when I was a kid. And so I have a green deck on my shelf, but like a starter deck, but I don't know how to play or use it. But it's very pretty. And sometimes I'll decorate my room. I'll like cut up the cards and like make cool something out of it, or yeah, I'll just magnetize into like a metallic thing in my room and just, you know, because the art and the cards are fucking amazing. But anyway, so I was reading some of the Strixhaven stuff, and it's been such a long time since I've seen like a map made by Wizards of the Coast, right? And I know their theory behind it, you know, you don't want to over detail it because then it'll ruin it for anybody else who would want to kind of interpret it in their own way. It's like very bare bones on purpose, you know, in certain aspects. But anyway, I look at the map and, you know, it's the flat tiles, like, you know, printed in a book, you know, it's how they always make their maps. And of course, I fucking find that disgusting. So I was just like repulsed. I fucking went through up and I came back and I said, you know, this would be really easy to recreate in Tabletop Simulator. And it wouldn't take that long. So I did a little test. I pulled to my second monitor and I opened up Tabletop Simulator. And I just saw how fast I could map out the shape of, I think it was it's the first place you go to for orientation in Strixhaven. Forgot what it's called. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, I could make this work in Tabletop Simulator if I extended the sides like maybe 6 spaces each direction, and maybe even maybe a little less. Just because a lot of the tight spaces in between, like some of the bushes in there are just like, well, that's what I noticed. Like if they make like little classrooms, and if you want to stand in a square between like desks, and there's like, like between desk and there's like a chair in between the desks, your character is going to be standing half on the front desk, half on the back desk, and the chair at the same time. So imagine filling up that classroom with like full of kids, and it's just like you can't see the map anymore because everyone's standing on like, you know, every other tile as well. Like everyone bleeds into other tiles and they just kind of cover everything up. I was like, oh damn, that's fucking disgusting. Ugh. So yeah, if I just extend the size a little bit, I can make this shit work no problem. And then I tested it out and I drew out the lines. It's like, oh yeah, I could probably crank out a D&D map in probably like a day and a half. And that's not counting like me having to make the video and all the stuff to upload it to like Steam or whatever, the workshop. But we'll say that's like the second half of the second day. So boom, there you go. I can knock it out in 2 fucking days. Because it's all, at least from what I saw that first one, I was like, wow, this is like a lot of open space. It's just like nothing. So I was like, okay, that's not a problem. That's easy enough. But then I eventually scrolled through all their other maps in the book. Relatively, I think all of them are pretty much the same. Like, they're not very detailed. And I know it's on purpose, but like, yeah, it's like they're very, very simple. And so like, oh, okay, that won't take me long to do at all. I can make a whole Strixhaven like map set, and people can use it in Tabletop Simulator. And, you know what I mean? They don't have to worry about making it themselves or using, I guess, like a straight up just like PD, like a screen grab of it and just drop it into the game. Because I wanted to actually run Strixhaven during the Christmas break for a friend who's visiting, at least the first year. But I'm not sure if it's going to happen yet or not. But it'll be like in a real life campaign, so I can't record that one. But I will report back on how it goes, of course. But I wanted to run that for him, just because it's a new module, and he also really likes Magic the Gathering. So I figured, hey, why not? I'm not sure how this is going to go, like, at all, because looking at the material, I'm like, huh. You could ideally blast through it really fast, like the first year really fast. But I know for a fact that it's not like we expect to get a certain, like, way through the campaign by a certain time. If we play, we're just going to play and enjoy ourselves. And, if we only get like a quarter of the way in, doesn't matter. We had fun and we got to experience that. But yeah, I wanted to run it my way, which, especially if it's like a college type thing, Magic College, Harry Potter style, it's like, holy shit. Can you imagine how fucking cool and awesome and fun that would be to actually build relationships and not just like roll a dice and be like, okay, she's your girlfriend now. You beat her, you beat the roll. Like, okay, cool. I'm not saying you have to like go on fucking 6 different dates with a woman, but maybe have some roles dedicated to different dates and have different roles you could do, like make a little mini game out of it. This is the kind of shit I do for my campaign, right? Like if we're going to do something like that, then make it a little bit more in-depth and interesting. So that's what I would do. If you wanted to like go through the front, I'd probably just revamp the whole, I'm not going to use anything that the book has, but I will revamp the shit out of it. So the book is useful for one thing, which is, has a lot of the groundwork done, the names of places, people, all these ideas. So it saves a lot of time, but knowing myself as a dungeon master, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna rework all this and make it like tons of fun. So that way the frog race or whatever is like fucking cool as shit. Also, I kind of breezed through the book to kind of check out everything. But apparently, like, whenever like the students are in mortal danger, some of the staff members or the teachers or whatever, they will like step in and save the student if they can, or if they're there or whatever the fuck. I'm changing that for sure. If you come to Strixhaven and you put yourself in mortal danger for any reason, tough shit. You fucking die, you die. They have a fucking morgue on campus. They'll ship your body back to your family at the end of the semester. Because I don't like taking out the danger shit, Like if you break your arm, they'll help you and they'll put you like, in the medical wing or whatever the fuck, the infirmary. But, and if someone's obviously just trying to shoot the students or, do something really illegal, yeah. But like, say if you're playing Quidditch and you fucking fall into your death and your neck snaps, it's like, well, tough shit. That's Quidditch. I don't like putting safety nets everywhere because then the players aren't going to take it. There's not going to be that much gravity to like putting yourself in danger or anything like that. Even the mundane school stuff, because it's like, yeah, if we're going to do like a magic school thing, it's like, yeah, magic's dangerous. Life's dangerous. We know it's dangerous. Let's embrace that. This school's for hard motherfuckers who don't give a fuck about their life, or at least are willing to risk it. But like most of the time, the average student isn't going to be in danger whatsoever, you know, unless he's doing something like really involved in like maybe something crazy school activity or whatever. But even then, they just kind of have to know those risks ahead of time. But yeah, I was thinking about just taking all that shit out entirely. I was like, no, it's not really. I don't care. I don't care for that myself, so I'll take that out for sure. But yeah, I was thinking I'm gonna make this so cool because I don't know how much time I'm gonna have. Yeah, I think I'm only gonna have like 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks, like maybe a week. So a lot of the maps we use for the real life thing I do, if I do end up running Strixhaven for the peoples, probably like a lot of it drawn on the table. But I do want to kind of have like, yeah, you have your dorm room and all this stuff. And you can kind of hang out and make friends and do different little activities with them and all kinds of shit. Really kind of go for like, you know, a more proper college experience with everything. Mixed in with, of course, all the fantasy bullshit and everything like that too. So I think that would be a lot of fun and see what happens. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do or want to do with Strixhaven if possible. I don't think I would ever run Strixhaven on the channel, at least not anytime soon. No fucking way. I need to finish, because once I finish this D&D campaign, I'm 100% running a Shadowrun campaign afterwards. I just want to get like a D&D campaign nailed down, a good one, you know? But then again, like I said, it might end up going for a very long time. Just depending. Like, but say if I finish this campaign alone, solo, when it ends, it ends. Whenever it ends, you know? But who knows when? I don't. But say if I have other... Excuse me, I gotta drink some water. But say if I have other players, they can, you know, if they want to keep playing and it makes sense, you know, if they want to keep using their characters or whatever, or they just have a really good idea to keep the story going and not start up a new one per se, and I'm cool with it, and everyone wants to do it, then yeah, we'll keep running D&D and keep doing that. But if we get to like a satisfying conclusion, everyone's like, yay, then we're definitely switching to Shadowrun. And the nice thing about Shadowrun is like, because I think the usual structure for Shadowrun is like you're a bunch of Shadowrunners, you're a bunch of fucking criminals and shit. You're basically just doing jobs and stuff like that. So, but you know, you can actually add on like an overarching story on top of that as well. But the main draw of Shadowrun, the main deal is that, you know, you go find jobs to do the jobs, and usually they end in like one session and you get together that day. But yeah, and you just kind of keep doing that, getting that money and trying to like, you know, increase your clout and your whatever else your character wants to do with that. So there's not necessarily like a set start, middle, end to it, really. It's kind of just like watching a TV show with interesting characters doing their thing, and then, you know, you can go on forever if you wanted to, with no real overarching story ever involved. But say if we run Shadowrun, I'm definitely putting like an overarching story that they could work on while they're doing jobs. But that being said, right, so with that format, whenever we get around to Shadowrun, I'm going to basically be working on another D&D thing as well. So like that'll probably be like where Strahd probably comes into play. I'll be making Strahd maps in Tabletop Simulator and releasing them and getting it prepped and shit. That way we can probably take turns playing Shadowrun one week and then D&D another week. I think that's a good. Eventually, hopefully by that time, the flow will be so good, and then everybody will have like a set day and time we all work off of to play. And then once the flow's there, then we can start like jumping between like, okay, this week is just Velocity, this week is Shadowrun, this week is D&D. And then I can just kind of have like multiple campaigns of different games running simultaneously. That is like end game level fucking goal shit, that would be dope. Although another thing that would be really, really cool is if, say, I find a player who also happens to be a really good dungeon master who like I approve of and I think like, yeah, that'd be amazing. It's very rare. I've come across people who like fit the bill, but yeah. So hypothetically, say if I do find someone who can run another series, that'd be fantastic. And I could play as a player straight up, and two, that's just like easy footage. Here's a big if though, right? If I can like boot camp them to make maps how I make maps, or at least use all my assets, because like I said, they're all either made by me or they're like royalty free, at least all my more recent stuff. So I can actually like put them and monetize and all that shit and whatever the fuck. I haven't monetized any videos yet. I don't really give a shit that much. But yeah, so yeah, that would be cool. But that's gonna be a very, 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 very hard thing to get. Is someone who can, take the fucking time to, organize their shit, get the assets, understand where I'm coming from. I actually want to make maps like me, and not just download them off the Steam Workshop from like 20 other random people all kind of mashed together. I don't do that anymore. But another way around that is if I make the maps myself. So for instance, say if they're like DMing and they're like, oh, I need a courthouse for Shadowrun. Can you make that? I'll just add it to the list of things I'm going to make. And then, eventually when I get onto it, I'll just make it. And it probably will be like really good from the get-go, because if I make a bunch of other maps, like half my maps that come out are like half-assed and kind of rushed, that's not what I want. And that's disgusting. I would never do that. So I think if I end up doing that, having to like make maps for someone else for like another campaign on the channel, then I think I would have no choice. I think I'd have to just delay a series by like a week. So like a video would come out every other week. It would still be half-hour long, because I don't think releasing hour-long videos would be good. At least not right now. I think the 30-minute length of these videos is like perfect, because I think to edit together 30 minutes of footage for any series on the channel, right, takes about 8 hours, 8 to 12 hours. Yeah. So I don't know if I would want to do that exactly. I just don't think that's a good idea. At least not right now, like I said. Yeah, I think it's in very nice bite-sized, 30-minute chunks. Because say if someone gets bored out of like an hour-long one, it's like, shit, they didn't get to see all that footage that was edited. Like I literally like pour over every second of the video twice. You know what I mean? When I go, I'll make it eventually in the future. I'll make a video showing how I edit my videos. So people understand that it's not a fucking podcast. It's actually us just playing like anybody else plays, where there's like tons of moments of awkward silence. There's tons of moments of people looking up stuff. There's tons of moments of people, just not talking, like no one's talking, dead air, all that stuff. Flub lines. People who flub lines like, they're like, oh shit, can I say that again? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, please. I encourage that. Jesus. Stuff like that. We play at our own pace, but usually though, the nice thing is when we do play, when I have a good group, it's pretty fluid, honestly. Like we never grind to a halt ever unless we're taking a break deliberately, which is wonderful. So it's been a minute since I've ever actually had like a moment where, it comes to a grinding halt for more than like 1 minute. And that's because if there's ever a call needs to be made, I just make the fucking call. I note it down and I move on. Because in the end, who gives a fuck about minutia in role-playing games? Like, who gives a fuck? Unless it's like life-threatening shit. Like, okay, if we don't interpret this rule correctly, this character dies. That's the only time I'll like stop the game for more than a minute. If it's something stupid or whatever, someone doesn't know, or it's like, the PC either gets a really good benefit in the moment or he gets no benefit. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna give you the benefit because I don't care. And I'd rather you have the benefit than not have it. And then later on we find out that you needed to have it and you didn't. So it's like it doesn't and with his water bottles. Like it doesn't fucking matter. Just do it. Move on. That being said, there are some times when people have deliberately, left out details, but that's because they intentionally tricked me. So, but I'd always give people time to read their spells and shit like that. That's not what I'm talking about. And a fun fact, very fun fact. I don't think I'll ever make this public, but maybe in the future. But maybe a year ago, I went through every single D&D spell available and I put them all in Photoshop and I put every single D&D spell organized to a T inside of Tabletop Simulator. So I can press Control O, like say if someone wants to use a spell, right? And it's complex or anything, right? I just press Control O, I type in the search bar the name of the spell. I usually only type the first 2 letters. And then it comes up, and then I pull it out on the table, and boom, everyone can read the spell from any angle. And now everyone's on the same page, especially me. I don't have to trust anybody with the spells that they have. And I never, ever, ever will again, unless I trust that person with my life in real life. Otherwise, I'm never going to trust anybody again with spells, reading spells by themselves. I will always pull out the spell and have it next to me when someone pulls in that shit. Unless I remember on the top of my head. Because let's be real here. Half the time, if they make a mistake, and we're like 3/4 of the time, if they make a mistake, it's an honest mistake. But at least I'll also be there as a second backup in case, to keep that from happening. But there are those rare instances where people will feel like it's okay to leave out important details of a spell just to kind of one up the bad guy. Fuck that shit. I'm not about that life. Don't be a spellcaster then, motherfucker. Oh yeah, so here's the arena. This is the first time I made like a circular stands thing. The last time I made like bleachers or whatever was in the battle arena, the above ground one. But that was pretty simple. This one took a while though, but it turned out beautiful. Like I did not expect it to look so good, but it ended up looking really, really nice. Oh yeah, I was also gonna decorate behind the stands, right? But I didn't know what to put back there. I was like, I could put like little vendors, so you can kind of like go buy a hot dog or something. But I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna leave that detail to the people who want to put stuff back there. I didn't, yeah. But what's kind of funny though? It's like if I do end up using this in my campaign, and I'm setting up all the NPCs for the PCs right ahead of time, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put like a hot dog vendor back there or whatever. Oh yeah, also, so right, to touch back on something I mentioned like a long time ago. Anyway, so I was reading the Strixhaven module thingy, and I noticed that, like I said, I hardly ever read D&D modules, and I hardly ever really know like what time period they're in, aside from like some random pieces of art that comes out online that I just see. It's like there's like baristas and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm putting in modern day shit. Like, fuck this. I'm putting in modern day shit. I don't even know what the word barista means, but it's like, yeah, if they're making the college have like what every other college has, where it's like, yeah, there's a Starbucks in every major building of the college. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna kind of do whatever I want. I mean, that's what I have been doing. I know it's totally a thing. Yes, yes, yes. Role playing games, blah 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 blah. But I think I'm no longer on the fence about that. I'm not gonna put in stuff that's like blatantly fucking stupid though. That's for sure. But I'm definitely gonna push the envelope when it comes to essentially just making things for Shadowrun and putting them in D&D, like the slot machines. I'm not gonna make a medieval slot machine, but I will make a fucking slot machine. Oh, also, right, here's something to touch on. Little fun factoid. All the gambling tables, like casino tables, like poker, blackjack, craps, all that stuff, I had to make those all by hand in Photoshop. I had to recreate them because I couldn't find any royalty-free image sites that had a consistent texture for each of the tables, or just period anything related to tables that wasn't a weird angle where there was a person playing the game as the focus. So I was like, okay, I have to make this myself, and that I would say is what took majority of the time. Fucking making assets, holy shit! But it was well worth it. I think they look fucking beautiful. Like I was worried they would get stretched out and kind of look wonky, but I think if anything that comes close to that, it might be the blackjack table, but I don't think so. I think it's just made that way because it has that weird half circle, like oval shape kind of bent around where the text is in it, explaining the insurance or some of that. But yeah, I think everything turned out really, 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 really nice. So I'm really, really, really proud of this entire map for one thing, but especially those fucking casino tables. Holy shit. And yeah, this like fighting arena was just gonna be a boxing ring, like a big square. But then I was just like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna make it cool. But I think there wasn't because I think that's just like Chinese checkers board again. I don't think there's like I think the UFC uses like an octagon for their fighting ring, right? Is that what I remember? Octagon? I don't think they use a hexagon. I don't know. But I think Chinese checkers board is a hexagon, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever. And you have to admit, lowering the opacity of the fence texture makes it look like more of a see-through chain link fence. I thought that was brilliant. Also, there's a method I tried when building with this map. that I found I hated and didn't work out very well. I mentioned it before in, I think, one of the last video or one before that. I don't know. When you're putting, like, say, a wardrobe up against a wall, the method I mentioned, which is you leave the ass sticking out the backside, so you can just make it flush, and then whenever you're happy and you've checked it for flickering, you can just go back in and push the ass into the wall from the other side, and it's concealed. What I tried with this map is I left the ass out on all the objects against walls in like one room. In theory, so I could come back later and just select them and then, copy paste them and put them into a different wall, and they'd be more at an appropriate size that I needed them to be, right? Thinking it would save time, but it didn't, because I find myself having to go back and check and double check, triple check every map and every room to make sure I didn't forget any other thing of the walls I left out, sticking out the back. So you would just see like a big black rectangle just sticking out of a wall. So that was a very, very poor idea in hindsight. So I'm never doing that again, because I like it too much whenever I finish decorating a room and the room is done, it's done forever. Like I don't ever have to worry about that room again. And I think that's great. Like a lot of peace of mind, and I don't have to ever double check it again. So I'm definitely never going to do that shit again where I leave stuff sticking out of a wall just so I can come back and like copy paste it. Yeah, it turns out for me, it's a lot faster to just, respawn it in for my chest, my saved objects chest, and then just go from there like every other time. There were some stretches of time that I had to edit out of this video where it was just me zooming around the map, checking for any mistakes or things I forgot to flush against the wall, or hide rather in the wall. Oh, also, I'll probably go back and add it into the earlier videos, time-lapse videos. But going forward, I'm going to link in the description playlists that I listen to while making maps, because I've pretty much consistently been listening to the same playlists every time I make maps. So if anyone's ever curious, they can check out those playlists. They're not on DieCat, they're on my personal channel. So all the playlists are curated by me, and I do update them pretty frequently. Like I'm pretty much only subscribed, no, not only, but I think 80% of my subscriptions on my personal channel are just music channels. So I think either once every 2 days or once a week, just depending how busy I am during the week, I'll go to my subscriptions and check out every single song. And, whatever ones I like, I throw into a specific playlist. I think I have like 4 or 5 playlists I have, different like genres, whatever. And it's like best of this, best of that, best of this. So I do take some time to curate those often. If you want to check those out and check out what kind of music I'm into and what I listen to when I make maps, you can do so down below. So funny thing, one of the subscribers that comments on my videos, right, and enjoys my maps, he said that in his Shadowrun game, he's doing a little running like missions or plot rather that revolves around like underground fighting. So he said that he really, really enjoyed this map because of that. And I only added the fighting ring in this map just to fill space because I felt like the map was a little too small. And I was worried people were going to get tired of me adding fucking fighting arenas, but I don't give a fuck. I think fighting arenas are cool as shit. But yeah, he said that he was super stoked when he found that out. And I was like, whoa, dude, cool because this fighting arena is fucking lit. I don't have a fighting arena quite like this one. This was like the first of its kind, so that's one thing, right? Like I may add fighting arenas to my maps. I wouldn't even say it's a vast amount, but I like to add them when I feel like they're appropriate, right? So I think every time I add a fighting arena going forward, I'm gonna try to make it unique. I'm not gonna like come back to this map and just copy paste this arena and pop it in. I might do it sometime, like one other time, maybe, maybe. Like if I make like a UFC like arena, I'll probably make the arena bigger and paste it into that. But only because it's perfect for that. Otherwise, probably gonna make like a completely new design. Because I think a different fighting arena. One is an actual like fighting arena, like fucking Oblivion type shit, and the one before that is like a pit. It's an underground fighting pit where the contestants actually go into a pit, and all the spectators sit around the edges up top, elevated above them. So, I've been working on that. Also, I looked up some reviews of Strixhaven. From the reviews I saw of Strixhaven, it wasn't like glowing. But I've never looked up reviews of any other D&D module, so I don't know their track record. And as far as like what people expect out of them, like what's good, what's bad, for the majority, right? So, but I did look up reviews for Strixhaven. So, and most of them, if not all, were just very negative and said it was like lazy and all this shit. And I have no basis to like, judge that upon because I don't use modules. So I was like, interesting. They don't like Strixhaven? That's weird. And a lot of their points seem to be that everything like all the showcase centerpiece type stuff all revolved around like tests and everything like that, revolved around just like simple dice rolls and whatnot. And that did piss me off. I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna, I would never fucking use that shit anyway. Like, no, fuck that noise. Like, if I'm gonna have it all revolve around an exam, I'm gonna have like a whole mini game or even mini games revolving around studying, fucking taking the exam, tracking down people on campus that, you can't like having the ability to track people on campus who like either like know how to get the answers, know how to cheat, or just know how to study, or have taken the test before, or have insider knowledge or anything like that. Like maybe a crooked teacher, maybe a crooked faculty member of a different department. Like I'm gonna have all those options available. That way the PCs can attack it from multiple angles and have like a whole thing that calculates all this shit. So that way when they do take the test, it'll be another mini game in and of itself. And, depending on how they prepared for the test, they'll get either specific bonuses or, they do certain things. Yeah, there's so many ideas that go through my mind just to make that like a super involved, super fun thing where it's not just like rolling dice. Like you can do all kinds of stuff, especially like obviously role playing is gonna be a big part of that. Give it a lot more options. Like that'd be really, really cool. That way, it's like you actually have to like study for the test, find a study buddy, maybe find a study group, all this stuff. I think that'd be really neat. So I may just like blast out diarrhea when it comes to making maps and just spend a lot of my time like making these little mini games and stuff like that for taking tests interesting, at least for like the real life version. I'm gonna attempt to run for a friend. So oh, here's something, right? I was playing Project Zomboid recently. The multiplayer just came out for like the latest build, right? I must say, I'm impressed. It's pretty fucking good. If you haven't heard of Project Zomboid on Steam, definitely check it out. They added multiplayer in the latest experimental build or some shit like that, or beta build, whatever. It's fucking cool as shit. It's like an isometric zombie game. Yeah, I had it. I've owned it for like pretty much since it came on Steam the first, years ago. It was a long time ago. But I never one, I never took the time to like figure out how to play, like the right way the game wants you to play, like how to succeed at the game. I just kind of played and like fumbled and died. But I think that's what the game kind of wants you to do, is just like die. But I don't know how hard you set it. But like I didn't know any of this shit. I just kind of always went in blind. And it was always like years before playing it. I was like, oh, I'd play for like a day. And then 2 years later, I'd play for a day. And 2 years later, I'd play for a day. Yeah. Recently, though, I looked up like, okay, how the fuck how are you supposed to play this fucking game? And then I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I wasn't too far off from initially. I was like, you're supposed to just fucking die. But I was like, how is this going to work with multiplayer servers? Like, I'm sure someone will find a sweet spot for the settings, but, or at least just an overall better or different, like, objective for everybody to do, I guess. Because if you're just playing to survive, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, I'm just, imagine if you're playing it with like a full server of people. Like, say in the future, the server capacity will probably get to like, I don't know, 50 people, right? I thought that's a proper number for like how big the map is now, especially. It's like, holy shit, dude. They better have loot respawn. Otherwise, people are going to be running around just fucking dying constantly. But I do imagine that it's going to be more, at least most of the maps will probably be more PvE based. But even still, there's like, I imagine everything's going to be looted 24/7. Because why wouldn't it be? But I don't know. I'm really curious to see how that develops over time in multiplayer, because I do want to play multiplayer with like random people. I played it recently with like 5 people or no, 4 people, like people that I knew. That was a lot of fun. I haven't laughed that hard in a very, very, very long time. So even if I didn't really enjoy trying to survive, I did enjoy certain aspects of some of the goofy shit you can do. It was all unintentional by the game's design, of course. It's not like a fucking Saints Row game or anything like that where they try to be funny. But yes, if you can find that game on sale and play it with friends, I had a fucking amazing time. It was so, so, so funny. And my most recent memory is probably like the best multiplayer experience I've had in a long time. Aside from playing Dungeons and Dragons, of course. You know what? I also I was thinking about this earlier, but I do want to take requests to make maps for people. Like just subscribers, like I don't know, just throw it in the comments or something. Just I'll look through the comments and of like my time-lapse videos and see what people suggest, get some inspiration. I do want to do that really badly, just to kind of break up. It's just, because I these are all maps made for me and they're gonna be useful for me, especially. But it's like, yeah, but I kind of want to make to order like a map, just I don't know, just because, just to mix things up. And it's not like I can't use that map I make either. So you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that'd be really, really fun to do. Just to see the reaction on people when like they see the map that I made for them and they get the feedback and you know, I think getting that feedback is really, really important to me, especially as far as making maps. I know there's only so much you can do as far as making maps, but I mean, and by so much you can do, I mean it's a lot. But I don't know. A certain part of me, deep down, is like, am I making interesting maps? Like I don't know. It's not. Maybe interesting is the wrong word. I'm trying to find the right word, but I can't. It's probably just because I spend too much time making maps. Like I'm just overthinking it, I think. You know what? Maybe some part of it is because I tend to make maps kind of like structured buildings, like the underground fighting arena, underground gambling hall, like a fighting arena, an office building, stuff like that, right? Like I don't really make too many. Well, especially not released to the public. But I don't even just behind the scenes, like maps that are unreleased. I tend, excuse me, I tend not to make too many dungeon-esque maps or like really weird ones like oh, here's a swamp, here's just like an interesting desert location, like here's a interesting forest location. Like I tend to spend a lot of time making these really intricate indoor like building maps, something like that, you know what I mean? And here's one thing, right? I'm not sure because I'm not 100% sure because I haven't I haven't been run through that many dungeons in my lifetime of playing role-playing games. And two, I question the quality of the dungeons because I'm sure there is like a good dungeon out there for me. I just have to find it. Like my friend JD ran me through a dungeon that he made and that was fucking awesome. But we didn't get a chance to we finished the dungeon, but we didn't get a chance to play more of his dungeons. And that was technically like my first proper dungeon because you can tell he crafted it so well and it was like really dope. You could put your mind to it and actually figure out the puzzles and there was multiple different solutions for puzzles and stuff like that. Like that was fun. But every other time I experienced a dungeon was just atrocious and it just made me want to fucking not be there. But I think a good dungeon requires a ton of effort designing the layout and all the traps and tricks and treasures and everything. I think I'm more focused on my style as like making cool, intricate, like indoor maps like this and putting a lot of time and effort behind the detail of the people running it. It's more NPC based, and the reason why they're running it and where does the money go? Where does the money come from? Like, what types of people come here? All that stuff. As compared to just trying to make a dungeon And I've looked up some of the, I don't know, preset dungeons that come with D&D, but that was like around high school. And even then I wasn't very interested in the dungeons. So maybe I'm just not a dungeon kind of guy. But then again, I would like to play more dungeons from like say JD, because he seemed to really know what the fuck he was doing. But like say if I needed to make a dungeon myself, I don't know how good it would be. I've made I think I made 2 dungeons, and the players for the main campaign on the channel, the D&D one right now, they skip past it, which is fine. I don't give a shit. But like, yeah, they skipped it, so I'll probably end up reusing it later. Yeah, I don't know if they would have enjoyed it. I would have to like sit down and actually ask them, like, okay, what do you guys think of this dungeon? Did it suck? Like, what do you like out of dungeons? Because I don't even know myself. I don't necessarily have like a certain like skill set as far as like making my dungeons X, Y, or Z really good at this, that, you know? It's like, I don't know. Not a fucking clue. I think it's just mainly also I think it contributes a lot to the fact that I like Shadowrun more. And yes, there are dungeons in Shadowrun, just in a different style, but it's like, you know, you don't run into your traditional dungeon in Shadowrun too often. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I think I got hooked into that a little too early on to where I was like, man, I just enjoy fucking corporate espionage and kidnapping people, you know, outright murder type stuff in role playing games. I like all of that stuff, how that kind of trips off all that, and kind of the city reacts to you type shit. So I don't know. But I do want to still try my hand at making dungeons. You know what I'll do? I'll go back to the dungeon that I made a long time ago, right? That the players haven't experienced. I'll revamp it and try and make it like even better. Because like I said, I've looked up stuff in the past, like, okay, all the different traps you can put in and all the different, and I even made up some of my own traps and stuff. And I just think I need that player feedback when it comes to dungeons, because I got a lot of feedback on everything else that I do, really. So, yeah. But in the end, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about dungeons. I don't want to fucking go underground and spend a whole session fucking around in some murky water cave. Let's fucking go to a goddamn costume party and try and assassinate somebody. Let's do that. But we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot. Here's something, right? I watched Hard Boiled last night, a John Woo movie with Chow Yun Fat, because it's a really good movie if you haven't seen it. I think it's actually free on YouTube in like HD quality. Like I think a lot of John Woo movies are from like the 80s, the gun fu, like badass movies. Yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't. It's amazing. But yeah, I was reading some of the trivia. It was like for one of the final scenes where there's like tons of explosions and the main actor is like running away from them. The director was in charge of the trigger to set them off, and he was setting them off too close to the actor. So he's actually on the screen running for his life. And you can see one of the explosions nearly blows off his ass cheeks. Like, holy shit. He's not doing an action hero run. He's doing like, where you try and tense up your body and you're, trying to make yourself into a ball while trying to fully sprint as well. He's doing that kind of run where it looks like a goofy fool with his pants full of shit. It's like, holy shit, that guy's life was actually in danger on screen. Like, wow. 80s is a wild time, especially like making movies in China back then. Holy fucking shit. Crazy. Great movie though. Great movie. Yeah. And of course, whenever I watched it, I was like, man, I want to play Justice Velocity again. There's just so many games I want to play. But yeah, there are so many times where like explosions will be set off during a shootout, where like a lot of the debris will be moving extremely fast and like smack the camera. It's like, holy shit, these people are actually in danger. It's like small explosions going off all around their heads and shit. It's like, wow, that's incredible. I also need to watch more of Jackie Chan's older action comedy flicks. Because I didn't know Jackie Chan made movies, like a lot of, not like fucking like 100 years ago types kung fu movies. Like he actually made a lot of like movies in the 80s, you know, where he's like a cop or something. And he's just doing his thing in like a city, a modern day city or whatever. And it's like, what the hell? Oh my God. I was like prime Jackie Chan, man. And of course, like every time I saw a glimpse of any of Jackie Chan's stunts, it was just fucking phenomenal. It's like, wow, that guy's a legend. I think my first encounter with Jackie Chan was actually one of his Drunken Master movies, where his family makes him live with a drunken master teacher man. Yeah, it was like on tape, and my parents let me watch it, and it was fucking cool as shit. And that's how I got into it. But yeah, I need to watch a lot more of those 80s Hong Kong action flick movies. Because I bet you there's even more that don't have like Chow Yun Fat or Jackie Chan. There has to be a ton more that are just equally as dope. I'll get some inspiration from that. Want to play more Shadowrun? Soon, hopefully soon. Coming up in the last 3 minutes of this video. But yeah, this map was it was a lot of fun to make actually. I actually had like a lot of fun making this one. Usually I'm just like kind of going through the motions of just making it, like, yeah, I need this map, like, okay, make it. But this one was a blast because I was thinking like a dungeon master while doing it. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be cool if this happens or this could happen. Da, da, da. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make this room, but I was like, you know, it'd be cool, like a little break room / poker room. So the people who work here, they see gambling happen all the time, but they can't gamble themselves, not with the guests. So they can at least gamble upstairs while they're, you know, off duty trying to guard the door. Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone ever notices that, but I try and put shittier furniture in, I guess, shittier rooms, and the more nicer furniture in like the nicer areas. I'm sure it's pretty obvious, but yes, I do take the time to do that. Oh look, the map's done. 12 hours, 37 minutes, 37 seconds. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that is right, because I spent most of the time making assets. So yeah, I was wondering, like, why did it take so long? But that's why. Because it's not exactly that, you know, that complex of a map. Excuse me. You know what's stupid is that I'm yawning right now because I mean, I just woke up like an hour ago. But I think it's because I got like fucking 10 hours of sleep. I don't know, maybe I overslept. Who the fuck knows? I've been all over the place. Man, once December's over, we can get into January then. I'll be glad when December's over. Holidays are just hectic as hell, man. I gotta be all over the place doing shit with people's. But I am happy that my friend is in town, so I'm actually really happy about that. But like everything else, I got like my family is visiting and shit. And yeah, I don't know. I don't care to really hang out with them. That's mainly what I mean by that. I gotta do all that crap. That is the map. Everything lost. I hope you enjoyed the map. Please let me know if you'd like to see something else built. Because guarantee you, if I find that idea interesting, I will write your name down next to the idea you have put out there. And when I do make it, I will credit your name, like this map was recommended by your name. Because I do want to start making a list. Because say if it's simple enough, I can probably crank it out, in between maps and put it out, like in a week, maybe even less than a week's time. Because, yeah, I'm starting to kind of find more free time between map making to make other stuff if I need to. Mainly because I want to. Anyway, I've been Eric. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a very good day.